In her parents' house, silence was safety. The wrong tone could spark a week of icy glares. A missed curfew meant confiscated phones, revoked freedoms. Annika had once been grounded for smiling too long at a boy during church service. "You're not that kind of girl," her mother hissed on the way home. She was 16, and already fluent in the language, afraid of disappointing the people who claimed to love her the most. But no rule in that house prepared her for the one person who would look at her without expectation or judgment: the driver. Annika's world was measured in structure: school, home, lessons, sleep. Her parents, a wealthy, conservative, and deeply concerned with appearances, watched her like a hawk. She wasn't allowed to attend sleepovers, answer unknown calls, or even wear lip gloss. Love, to them, was a distant thing, as something that came after a degree, a good job, and a suitor of their choosing. Then David arrived. He was 24, quiet, and respectful. Her father had hired him after the last driver was caught gossiping with the gate staff. David kept to himself. He called her Miss Annika, never looked her in the eye for too long, and always opened the car door without a word. At first, she didn't think twice. He was just another adult paid to exist in her life without truly seeing her. But that changed one afternoon when she forgot her earbuds at home. The silence in the car was unbearable. She glanced at the rear-view mirror. He did too, just once. That was the beginning. They started talking about music. He played soft jazz on the stereo. She liked it. Then came books. She mentioned The Secret Lives of Baba Segi's Wives. He had read it. Her voice, usually so careful at home, came alive in the car, and his face, normally still and professional, sometimes broke into a soft, reluctant smile. But they knew the stakes. David never lingered, never touched her, never overstepped. Still, the feelings came slowly, then with unbearable force. For Annika, it was the first time someone listened without trying to shape her. For David, it was terrifying. She was smart, kind, and funny, but she was 16, so he kept his distance, until the night it rained. Annika was crying, a fight at home. Her mother called her ungrateful. Her father had slammed a door in her face. She got in the car and said nothing. David asked, "Are you okay?" That was all it took. The dam broke. She wept, ugly, raw tears. He pulled over beneath an overpass, engine still running. He didn't touch her, just listened. When she stopped crying, she looked at him, their eyes locked. Her face was close, too close. "I know this is wrong," he whispered, "but it doesn't feel wrong," she replied, and in a one kiss, brief, trembling, but enough to shift the axis of their world. They kept things quiet. No love letters, no plans, just emotions blooming in silence, until the day her mother found her diary. A single page, one line: "I think I'm falling for him." Her mother screamed. Her father fired David without hearing a word. Annika was locked indoors for weeks. No phone, no school, no friends. David tried to explain, to clarify. "I didn't take advantage of her," he told her father. "You spoke to her. That's enough," came the reply. And that was the end of them. After David was fired, Annika was treated like a criminal in her own home. "You will not destroy this family's name," her father said with chilling calm. "I loved him," she whispered back. Her mother slapped her. They took her to a pastor for deliverance. A counselor was hired. But Annika stayed silent. Nothing could undo the way her heart had cracked open. She was 16, yes, but she was not a fool. She knew what she felt, and it wasn't lust or rebellion. It was the safety she never had at home. It was truth. David disappeared. Her parents told the estate guards to block him from the gate if he ever returned. And yet, every morning, She'd glance at the rota just in case. 6 months passed. Annika was sent to a boarding school in Abuja. It was strict, sterile, and cold. She didn't speak much. Her roommates called her Princess Ice. She kept her head down, her grades up, her heart locked. But then came the letter, folded into her biology textbook. It smelled faintly of engine oil and cologne. She knew. Her hands trembled. Annika, I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know. I didn't disappear. I've just been trying to survive. I drive for another family now. I still write poems. You still live in them. I hope you're safe. I hope you're okay. AD. She clutched the letter to her chest and cried for the first time in months. Annika didn't reply. Not for a year. She was afraid her parents would intercept the letter, afraid of hurting him more, afraid that her love, however pure, was still dangerous. But the memory of that night of the rain, the overpass, the kiss never left her. At 18, she left for university in Canada, a scholarship, her escape ticket. Her parents called it a fresh start. She called it freedom. At 19, she sent her first email. Short, careful. I never stopped thinking about you. Are you safe? He replied the same day. Still breathing. Still writing. Still yours. Years passed. Annika earned a degree in psychology. She studied power, trauma, healing. She learned to name what had happened to her, not just with David, but at home. She understood the weight of their age difference, the ethical lines blurred by loneliness, but she also knew David had never once taken advantage. He had waited. He had left. At 23, she returned to Lagos. David was now the co-owner of a small delivery company. He hadn't married. He had a more beard. Tired eyes, but his voice, when he saw her again, still held softness. They met at a book cafe till the copyright in Lekki. They didn't talk about love, not at first, just life, healing, work, family. Then, over coffee, he asked, "Do you regret any of it?" She paused. "Only the silence," she said. She told her parents a week later. "I'm seeing someone," she began. "Someone you know." Her mother froze. Her father's eyes narrowed. "You don't mean a broken bar?" "I do, and I'm not asking for permission. I'm telling you because I still love you, even if I disagree with you." Her father stood and left the room. Her mother began to cry. "You're throwing your life away." "No," Annika said. "I'm building Ida with someone who didn't just love me, but waited for me to grow. No, I'm choosing someone who never treated me like a thing to display or control. Someone who loved me before I even knew how to love myself." It took months of silence, then slow healing. Her parents eventually came to see her not as the rebellious daughter, but a woman who made a choice, intelligent, deliberate, and rooted in truth. For months, her family was silent. Then came the call. Her younger brother had told them about David's company, about how he delivered supplies during the flood crisis, how he hired young men from poor neighborhoods and paid them well, about how he was respected. David was invited him to dinner. Her father finally said. David came wearing a shirt Annika had bought him. Hands steady but heart racing. Dinner was tense, but he spoke clearly, with dignity. "I never intended to cross any lines. I stepped back when I needed to, and I waited until she could choose." Her father said little, but after the meal, he looked David in the eye and said, "Take care of her. That's all I ask." They didn't rush into marriage. They spent 2 years dating openly, traveling, working, and healing from the wounds of their youth. They co-wrote a book together, Between Classes and Glass, Distance Between Us, A Love Beyond Boundaries. It became a bestseller, sparking national conversations about class, love, and the quiet violence of control disguised as care. They were invited to speak at universities, book clubs, even churches, not as a fairy tale, but as a caution and a courage story about timing, healing, and honest love. 10 years after their first forbidden kiss, Annika and David stood under the same rainy sky at this time on their wedding day. But this time, there was no secrecy, no shame, no chauffeurs, no backseats, no secrets, only vows, just love, equal, visible, earned. As they exchanged vows, Annika whispered, "We were once a mistake in their eyes, but in our hearts, we were always a beginning." And David, eyes misty, replied, "Love like ours, a broken bar never needed permission, only time." And Annika, now a woman with her own name, her own voice, whispered, "We rewrote the ending." David, eyes misted with memory, replied, "No, a broken bar rewrote the beginning." Annika started a non-profit for young women's education and mental health. David expanded his company and mentoring young men from disadvantaged backgrounds. They moved into a modest but beautiful home, not grand, but full of laughter, art, and the scent of fresh coffee and old books. Home, at last. Years passed, seasons changed, Annika and David grew older, not apart, but deeper into one another. Their love had weathered disapproval, distance, and difference, yet it never turned bitter. It matured like wine, slowly, with dignity. One evening, after a long day of work and shared laughter, they sat on their porch watching the sunset. Their 2 children, a boy and a girl, played in the garden, chasing butterflies. Annika leaned her head on David's shoulder and smiled. "Do you think it was all worth it?" she asked softly. David didn't hesitate. He turned, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Every second." In that moment, under a sky painted with the hues of dusk, there was no trace of the past's struggle, no shadows of class, or fear, or judgment, just peace, just love. Annika looked out at the horizon and no rearview mirrors, no regrets, and felt something she hadn't known in a long time.